And then they came for me too? But why? I supported the protest, cries out the politician, thinking that by supporting the far left lunatics, they would spare you. And let this be a message to every single person who says, well, certainly I can't speak up. I must keep my head down. They come for their own allies in government. They'll come for everyone. Seattle City Council president addresses protests targeting council members' houses. Why, yes. You see, in Seattle, the protesters actually showed up to the houses of Seattle council members, even though they all agreed to defund the police. Giving them what they want doesn't matter. They'll come anyway, and they'll graffiti up your house, and they'll blame you no matter what you do. The far left right now, they have no cohesive plan. They are a chaotic and destructive force that seeks only to destroy the bonds of our functioning society, though it's become quite dysfunctional, partly because of these people that function much like fire, spreading from agency to agency and destroying our system, our civilization, our society. It's not just in Seattle. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf's home covered in defund the police graffiti. They will come for you. And there is nothing you can do to stop it if you support them. Now, of course, if you are like a sane, rational human being, you can do the obvious. Call the police, fund the police and say, officer, yes, there's a bunch of protesters that are seeking to damage my home. Please remove them. And guess what the cops are going to say? You got it, buddy. And they're going to show up with shields or whatever. And they're going to be like, move. I'll tell you what. Some of the tactics that I've seen riot police use, not a big fan of. But if you show up to people's homes to harass them, I'm not going to sympathize with you if police show up to remove you. Come on, there are lines, right? There are limits. Go protest City Hall. There's civil disobedience. There's painting, even graffiti. But going to people's houses and graffitiing up private residences, I'm not going to be okay with this. You know what, man? I've been saying, eventually they come for your house. What happens when it's late at night? What happens when one person crosses that line and kicks the door open? Then somebody else sees the door open and peeks inside. Then people start streaming inside, and that's how it begins. We must denounce the targeting of politicians' homes. But I'll tell you what, for the time being, if you're on the Seattle City Council and you support this stuff, well, don't be surprised when they come for you. The Seattle Times writes, Seattle City Council President M. Lorena Gonzalez issued a statement Tuesday in response to targeted protests at the homes of council members. Some people have protested outside the homes of council members Alex Peterson and Deborah Juarez recently. Peterson and Juarez have said they support making cuts to the police department's budget, but have not, unlike their colleagues, committed to a goal of defunding the department by 50%. And it won't matter anyway because they'll come for you no matter what. Defunding advocates say money should be transferred from a police department with officers who too often hurt black people and others to community-based solutions that can better prevent and resolve crimes. I want to acknowledge the frustration that people in our community are experiencing during this trying time, Gonzalez said. Political pressure, demonstrations, and advocacy are a part of how people in America disrupt the status quo and meaningfully move governments towards social change. Our collective efforts, however, cannot devolve into personal attacks, intimidation, or potential violence. You know, look, they've not supported defunding the police 50%. So I think it's fair to say I can respect their resistance that they're saying, no, that's too much. Some cuts, sure. They're trying to push back. Not strong enough. I mean, look, if you live in Seattle and that's what you want, well, then you get what you get, right? If it were me, I'd be like, no, give them more money. I mean, I'm not a big fan of police militarization, so I'm half kidding. I think reform makes sense. I don't know if defunding and shutting down, various departments make sense. Now, here's what's interesting. They bring up earlier Tuesday, the Neighborhood for Smart Streets Political Action Committee, which backed Peterson and Juarez, sent out an email asking residents to pressure Gonzalez and the council's other citywide representatives, Teresa Mosqueda, to denounce the targeted protests. Peterson represents Northeast Seattle and Juarez represents North Seattle. Protesters have made noise at night outside Peterson's Ravenna home and written messages on his door, such as "Don't be racist trash." In pen and on post-it notes, according to the PAC, they have left literature about defunding the police on Juarez's Lake City doorstep and marched past the PAC. Juarez didn't immediately comment Tuesday. Peterson sees common ground to dramatically reimagine policing. And there it is, bending over backwards, giving them whatever they want. Congratulations. But sure enough, they'll come back later and say, now abolish the police entirely. And you'll be like, well, I believe in stripping them down to a skeleton crew, but abolish them entirely. Then they'll march in front of your house and you'll say, okay, we must find common ground and abolish the police. I bring you now to the PAC's emailer, Neighborhoods for Smart Streets Call to Action. Over the last 3 weeks, protesters have visited the personal residences of 3 public officials, Jenny Durkin, Alex Peterson, and Deborah Juarez. Led by Councilwoman Kshama Sawant, protesters vandalized the gate at Mayor Durkin's home with graffiti. On July 16th from 9 p.m. to midnight, they yelled into a bullhorn at Peterson's home and spray painted the street outside his home. On the morning of July 20th, they returned, trespassed, and vandalized Councilman Peterson's house with insults and profanity. His door was tagged with the words like, "Don't be racist trash, hope your children are raised better, and get the F out." Oh, wow, what a dramatic escalation. Don't be racist. Your children are trash. Get out. Okay, calm down. Okay, well, we get it. Seattle, I'm sorry, man. You reap what you have sown. Mayor Jenny Durkin had every opportunity to shut down the Chaz, and now they got a council member who's actually protesting other council members. You know what, man? I'm just getting so sick and tired of it. It's very, very frustrating. But, you know, it's affecting even the poor Mayor Libby in Oakland. You reap what you sow, man. If you support this stuff, don't be surprised when they show up to your house. Now, as for Mayor Libby Schaaf, let's see what her stance was. They say, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf's house was found vandalized early Tuesday morning with messages supportive of the defund the police movement, prompting an investigation by Oakland police detectives. They say, photos shared to social media show slogans such as defund the police and cancel rent. Cancel rent! Okay, what? This crosses the line because someone's house and property, said neighbor Alexandra Wright, 15, told KCBS Radio. It's not exactly okay. It's not okay. They're getting a comment from a 15-year-old. Wait, did they get a comment from a 15-year-old? I don't care. Wright's mother, okay, questioned the protesters saying, I get that people are upset. I'm upset too. What's your goal? Justin Burton, a Schaaf spokesperson, said of the vandalism, an attack at the home of a publicly elected official does not advance democracy. Around 2 a.m., vandals shot projectiles at the mayor's home, set off fireworks, and graffitied her home with paint. Well, Right-Wing Watch, when they claimed that far leftists didn't actually target Cassandra Fairbanks' house in D.C. when they fired fireworks and reportedly firearms, some kind of bullets, it was reported by Right-Wing Watch that, well, I have not been able to corroborate that it actually happened, and some neighbor said she's full of it. What about this? Come on, they left graffiti this time. Yes, they're showing up to people's houses. So spare me your desperate attempts to propagandize to protect these people. They're lunatics. But I'll tell you what, man, you know, in the instance of Cassandra, she opposed them, so they challenged her. These are the people who seemingly support them. This attack, designed to intimidate the mayor and strike fear into her family, will not stop her from advocating for the policies she believes are in the best long-term interests for her beloved hometown. Like all Oaklanders, she supports passionate protest, but does not support tactics meant to harm and terrorize others. I don't believe you. I don't believe it, man. Oakland is part of the Bay Area. That whole place is a nightmare, man. In Oakland and in Berkeley, they put up signs in their windows basically begging the cultists not to damage their property. They put up Black Lives Matter signs. They put up Orange Man Bad signs. They live on their knees in fear that these ridiculous insurgent type lunatics, you know, will be going around smashing up property. So where are your police to do anything about it? Well, the problem is these people, the progressives, people in places like Portland, won't indict. So long as you keep voting for it, you get what you get. So maybe they're not really living on their knees. They're living in their utopian vision of dancing around as people go around smashing up their property and vandalizing their homes. Just not my home. Not in my backyard, they say. Well, everything burns down around them. The far left won't stop here. Right now, they're going to people's houses and they're writing naughty words. And that's about it. But sooner or later, someone's going to, you know, fire a projectile which breaks a window. Someone will then throw another brick or kick the door in. Then they'll be coming in your home and dragging you out into the street. You think I'm exaggerating. I think it's hilarious. I do. You know why? About 3 years ago, I was talking about how the street fights between the far left and the right would escalate. And it would escalate to exactly what we're seeing now. And now we're seeing it now. So when I tell you, there will come a point where they'll show up to someone's house and kick the door in, and then drag somebody out or beat them up in their own home, it's going to happen. So long as this doesn't stop, it will get to that point. Apparently, when they went to Tucker Carlson's house, they banged on his door and damaged it. The extremists, I call them extremists because they're going to people's houses, who banged on the door said, "We broke nothing." Tucker said they did break it, and Tucker's wife was hiding in the closet calling the police. So when they go to Cassandra Fairbanks' house, why should I believe Right Wing Watch when they're like, "I couldn't actually corroborate this"? What do you mean? It happens all the time. They've been escalating this. They keep doing it. Now they're going after the politicians who won't give them everything they want. Well, you know what? Perhaps if y'all would put your foot down and say, "Oh, what was that, protester? You'd like to come to my house? Let me help you out. 911. Yeah, strange people are trying to break into my house." And then they can come and they can shoo them off. Arrest some of them or whatever. I don't know, man. I think we can expect more. But I'll leave this one. I'll leave this one here. I got one more segment coming up for you in just a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.